for the whole family starting at just $8. Get July 4th ready with denim shorts for everyone and Americana favorites like black tees and fashion tops. Get up to 50% off store-wide with styles from $8 right now. Can't wait? Order at OldNavy.com and pick up in store or with contactless curbside pickup for fast and worry-free shopping. Valid 6/14 to 6/24 in stores, 6/14 to 6/19, and 6/22 to 6/24 online. Select styles only.
No mistake. DD's Discounts has deals on the daily.
Deals on the daily?
Crazy deals every day.
And crazy cute sandals. Look at these.
Look all around. You can put together so many outfits of the day when there are deals on the daily.
These deals are giving me hard eyes. Oh, this purse is calling my name. Do I look good or what?
You are so extra.
I'm not paying extra. Look at this price tag.
See? Way less than at the mall. Fashion, home, gifts. Get to DD's Discounts for deals on the daily.
Hamburgers are made with the highest quality ingredients. Made fresh and by hand. Made with a smile to put a smile on your face. Made for special occasions or no occasion at all. Made with gratitude for every customer we get to serve. Most of all, every hamburger, cheeseburger, and double-double is made to order just for you.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada and Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful June the 18th, 2021. Rondo Deportes, bonjour, Big C, de Veni Veni Vici. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, it's wonderful. Tomorrow is officially Juneteenth, but we started celebrating today. We're going to throw some meat on the grill, do a little queuing and everything,
Yep.
and get that federal holiday going off right.
Yes, all
Once
fair.
again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders, Charlton. They're always there to help you get those fire burns off your hands during that barbecue.
Yeah, they have utensils for that, Big C. It's all fair in love of war with those Flintstone steaks. It's all fair love of war. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars also all around the world. Say Google or Alexa play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic. He'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away. And I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing, Big C. I love pausing, but I will never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline, because we should not be at odds when it comes to helping our veterans, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, we think about our veterans all the time. You think about Juneteenth, Charlton. We even had black soldiers fighting during the Civil War while we still had blacks that were enslaved in America, Charlton. And unfortunately, many of those veterans weren't treated the way that white veterans were treated after the war. Just as we have veterans today, Charlton, that are not always treated equally.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it has led to suicide, Charlton. Over 2 dozen veterans a day. Because we don't pay attention in this country as much to mental health as we do to physical health. We want to sit there and be awed by somebody's body, how they're looking when they're going up and down the beach. But you don't even know the mental torment that person may be going through, Charlton.
Yeah.
And we don't always recognize the mental torment that veterans go through. And it has led to too many suicides in America. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton.
Yep.
But we have to talk to people. We have to find out what's going on in their mind, not just how their body looks.
Yep.
And pay more attention to that especially.
Very well said, Big C. And more people are doing it from sea to shining sea. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. BigCSports.net. You could definitely get some help for our veterans and their loved ones. And I notice on every NBA game, they are scrolling about mental health. Reach out and ask for help. It's all fair in Love and War. I also want to say very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the first place San Francisco Giants, and the Say Hey Kid, as well as the home run King Barry Bonds. When you reach out to him, just tell him Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country, helping to put people back to work just like McDonald's does it. Car dealerships are doing it. Watch TV and sports teams do it. Watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage, the #1 lender in the country on the wholesale side. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like God said in Genesis 1:3. Let there be light. Open your cell phones and say, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our ads pop up from all over the world. And I really do appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. My goodness, man. Big C, you know, sometimes when you're driving, and you know it's hot outside, but most people drive with their air conditioners on. And my car today said it was 111 degrees. And I don't know if that's inside or outside, but there's a lot of people that don't have access to AC units sometimes because, as you mentioned, those veterans, not every veteran's doing great. There's so many times we want to say, God bless our troops, and that's it. It's like a fast food prayer, Big C. They say it for 5 seconds. So I really do appreciate that you started that Veterans Crisis Hotline. I actually reached out to someone today. I didn't know if he was a veteran or not, but he did have, you know, a military hat on. So I offered him some water that I had in my car, and he said, thank you very much, sir. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, like I said, you have to pay attention to people's mental health, not just physical health. It's nice to say thank you, but you have to go a step beyond that all the time.
Yeah, it's all fair in Love and War. I want to ask you something, too. It's personal to me because I had a good friend of mine say that we should not be at odds. And when you look at how many times people have served this country, whether it's African American, whether it's Native American, whether it's Asian American, whatever it is, American hyphenated American, we should not be at odds with our country. And, you know, this is new for you and I, Big C, two African American men, two proud, intelligent black men. We don't always have to agree, but we do have to rise and shine. I haven't given much thought to this new Juneteenth holiday because every day, irrespective of what holiday it is, you still got to know the right answers to the test. You still got to get up and go to work. You still got to get up and rise and shine. But it is nice for our country to say that we should not be at odds with the service of our great African-American citizens. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, it's a strange question when you say should not be at odds, which I don't understand the total context of that. When you think about being at odds in America, who created the diaspora in America as far as cultures being at odds? It wasn't the multicultural people, Charlton.
Yeah.
It came from one part of society. White society has made the odds in America. They have fought against equality in America. No other culture has. So when you talk about being at odds, if white society would put down their fists and stop fighting against diversity in America, then there would be no at odds.
Yeah, and I just want to put that out there. There are sometimes husband and wife can be at odds, brothers and sisters can be at odds, children can be at odds, worker and employee can be at odds, military veteran, and people that say, why don't you get up and get out of that paper bag that you're living in, or under that. I mean, there's so many people under the overpasses in Northern California from the Bay Area to the Central Valley Big C, and they don't have air-conditioned units. And I'm sure that some of them are suffering from mental health, and it's a shame that oftentimes people are sleeping next to taxpayer-funded billion-dollar arenas and stadiums. And I just don't, I mean, I'm just a young person. I don't know how everything's going to end up, how people can solve everything. But I just really appreciate the fact that we talk about it and we don't just get on and say, Big C, who won the game? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you sing the praise, Charlton, of a new stadium or a new arena, talking about how much it costs and how beautiful it is, and yet then on the next breath you want to say the people are sleeping homeless next to that arena. Why wasn't as much thought put into those people that are on the street as it was in the arena? Because the arena that they left was not a dilapidated facility.
Yeah. There is an arena in Sacramento. It was the second arena built. They built 3 since they came from Kansas City. They built the first hardcore arena. It was a small 11,000-seat facility. Then they built a 17,000-seat facility. Now they have the Golden One Center, and I think it's about 18,000. But they're actually turning the second arena into a hospital. So what used to be a place that people came for entertainment and basketball and other types of entertainment, Big C, graduations, concerts, now they're going to turn that into a hospital, several-story hospital. Same thing happened in the Bay Area.
Let me ask you this question here, Charlton. When a new arena is built in the city, who pays for that?
It's taxpayer funded.
Okay. Who suffers from people being homeless on the street?
I guess the people who are on the street, Big C.
Taxpayers. Taxpayers are the ones who have their properties brought down. They're the ones who have to foot the bill for whatever facility that these people need or health care that these people need, Charlton.
Yeah.
So why do these owners, these billionaire owners that own these professional teams, come to the taxpayers and ask them for their money and then turn around and charge them to get into the arena that they have paid for?
Yeah.
And a lot of those taxpayers can't even afford to pay for tickets because they're not the high-end people. But yet you turn your back on the most needy in the city. And not just even the homeless, Charlton. So you think about the impoverished kids in cities, Charlton.
Yeah.
They don't go out and put the money forth for education. Think about if they put that $1 billion towards education in a community, Charlton, how better off that community may be, and you would avoid a lot of that homelessness.
Yeah, it's all fair and love and war. I know there's always a solution, but the solution doesn't come without people talking about it, and I know that people got to talk about it, and I love that we spend part of our sports program talking about things that are real and more than who won a game, even though we can do both because we use both sides of our brain. I want to touch a little bit on some NBA basketball because NBA basketball is fantastic. Big C, the great King Giannis Antetokounmpo, he tells everybody that put him down, he says, shut up. You ever been told to shut up, Big C? All of the people that shouted out the great King Giannis Antetokounmpo, he says, shut up all the haters in a loud statement. And when you think about it, Big C, even after scoring 30-plus points in 3 straight playoff games, before Game 6, there were some commentators that went as far as criticizing, as some people even call the Greek freak. They should really look at their own mothers and call their mothers freaks because he's not a freak and his mother's not a freak. I hate that name. They don't call white men Greek freaks, but they use it for a black man. Kevin Durant, after his 49-point triple-double, they call KD the greatest player in the world. And some people say, well, Giannis is not standing up to the billing. You're part of that too, Big C. But the great Giannis
I admit to it. I stood right up there, and I stand by what I said.
And you can stand by what you said.
If you go back to what I said when they started this series, what did Giannis need to do? What did he and Lopez need to do? They needed to pack their butts down in the paint because Brooklyn could not stop them if they made a home down in the paint.
Point is, as I was saying, Giannis told everybody, shut up. And if you want to criticize him, get your butt on the floor and let your action do the talking, not your mouth. And he said that to some national radio, media, and TV people. And I appreciate what he's done because everybody that's not playing the game and not playing on the court with him, it's easy to sound real tall on the radios, and it's even okay to sound real tall on the TV. But here's a man who's never been in trouble. He's been flawless as a citizen, and he doesn't come from the United States, obviously. And that's part of that. I know we're celebrating Juneteenth, right? June 19th. It's called Juneteenth. But here's a man who's considered black, according to the United States, Big C, but he's grew up in Europe. But I think there's this thing that when you're a gentleman and you don't have this I'm a macho man mentality, that people tend to call you soft or say that you're, whatever they say, it's not respectful. And then we all celebrate Juneteenth. So in outplaying Durant, Giannis was flawless, no weakness evident as he attacked all night with grace and power. And they're going to have a Game 7 in Gotham City, Big C. That good old boy had 30 points, 17 Wilt Chamberlain-like rebounds, and the Bucks blew out the Brooklyn Nets 104-89. And when you think about it, Big C, here's a guy that people should rally around because he doesn't come with a lot of baggage or drama, Big C, you thought.
Well, I mean, on the court, no one cares what you do off the court, Charlton. We're talking about a basketball game. But how did Giannis score all those points? How did he score?
He put the basket in the bucket.
No. Where did he score them from? We know how he scored. Where did he score from?
Well, he scored in the bucket. He didn't shoot a three, but he went down and played like he should.
That's my point. He did not shoot a three, and I've been an advocate at this entire series. Take your 6'11" butt down in the paint where you can dominate. And all of his points came from down there, Jonathan. He didn't take a three-point shot all night. And if you go back and look at games that they lost, he wanted to live out there on the three-point arc. He wanted to feel that he was 6'1", not 6'11". And when he goes down there, they don't have a defender that can play against him. He can own that. He and Lopez, they can own that, Charlton. You have to play within the parameters what will make your team great, not to make you a highlight reel. I mean, if you go back to the NBA All-Star game, Giannis won the MVP in the All-Star game. He didn't have a three-point shot. Matter of fact, he was 16 for 16 because he never took a shot more than 5 feet away from the basket.
Yeah.
That's what I've been an advocate and a stern proponent of for Giannis to do. You are dominant in that. Do what you can do the best and be the best at it.
Yeah, that's true too, but you also said he was afraid of Kevin Durant, and that's just not the truth.
I said he was afraid because here, you defensive player of the year, you should go out there and lock down whoever's supposed to be good offensively on your opposing team. Every defensive player of the year during the era back when I used to play football, Charlton, would always go out and take an opponent's best offensive player.
Yeah, but still, I think he told you and everybody else, if you got something to say, get on the court and say it. Let your actions speak louder than your words.
Charlton, when I was Giannis' age, if he wanted to walk out on the football field, I'd have wiped his butt across the field like anybody else.
Okay, but that's your opinion, and that's what he's saying to all you tough-talking guys.
That's my conclusion.
Well,
that's my conclusion.
That's your conclusion.
I don't think that at his age, if he had walked on a football field with me, Charlton, then he would have stood a chance.
Okay, that's machismo. But what he's saying is they always have tryouts. To you and any other media person that sounds real tall on the radio, like you said, there was a guy that was, when you were working out one time playing ball, and he came in and he was lifting more weights than you, and he said, how do you play pro ball? And you said they have tryouts every day. And I appreciate what Giannis is saying. For all the guys saying that he's soft and that he's not tough and he's afraid of somebody, and all he's saying is they got tryouts. Put your money where your mouth is. They got tryouts. I'm proud of this man for standing up for himself. And one more thing that I often think about, especially on Juneteenth, the fact that national media has gotten away with calling him a freak. A freak is like Frankenstein. They've called a lot of black men derogatory names, and they put a lipstick on it to make it look good. Any person that went to his own mother and called his mother a freak, or someone called someone's mom a freak in front of them, they might get beat down, Big C. But they've normalized that. So I appreciate Giannis for not having that machismo mentality about I'm tougher than you. He just goes out and lets his game do the talking. And I appreciate he told everybody that had something loud to say, get your butt in the workout floor and try out, and then he'll respect you a little bit better, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I can appreciate that. I said that when I was a young man. I'm an old man now. And I'm an old man with an opinion just like you're an older man with an opinion. And all our opinions, whether they count or don't count, Charlton, they are opinions. I stand by the things I said. And I have said positive things about Giannis. I have talked about what Giannis needs to do to be the most dominant player on his team during the playoffs.
Yeah.
And when he's done those things that I've advocated for, Charlton, he has been dominant. I don't knock him for not being dominant, Charlton. I knock him for not playing a complete game. That's what I knock him for, because he's too great of an athlete to go out there and just be an also-ran any night on the court.
Very, very well said. We all can get criticized. Some people don't like the way we do things. It's all fair in love and war. But there is a battle, and it's coming to Gotham City, Big C, across the East River from New York City. It's going to be in Brooklyn. It's called Super Black Man Kevin Durant and also King Giannis. And right now we're being treated to what the NBA is all about. Where the people talk about player fatigue, our guys being injured. We know that's part of the game. I think every football player is injured at some point in time, and basketball players too, Big C. But when you think about it, there's going to be a lot of typewriters going off in New York City, Gotham City, when King Giannis comes to town to take on King Kevin Durant. I think this is the first time that I've seen Kevin Durant sit most of the fourth period because they wanted to save him for Game 7. And we know that his friend Harden's not going to be the same. And also Kyrie Irving's not going to play. If there's any opportunity for a Buck to go into New York City and come out alive, it's going to be on Saturday on Juneteenth, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, all they have to do is duplicate the game plan from Game 6. Go out there and put your big bodies down in the paint You show me two guys on the Nets team that can play defense against two 7-footers down in the paint, and all of a sudden Milwaukee will lose at that point. But they don't have them, and Milwaukee can win the game.
Yeah, they gotta figure it out. And I don't really care who wins. I was wanting to see Brooklyn get in because I wanted to see that big three. You know, Harden never won a championship. Kyrie has one, and also Super Blackman has two of them, Big C, with the Golden State Warriors. It'd be nice to see that trio, to see an all-star team in real time as opposed to just in the NBA all-star games that we often see in Big C. I want to take you to another game because I don't know this man personally, but the great Doc Rivers and mainstream media, whatever it is, they want to come out and start jumping on the great Doc Rivers because they're saying, oh my God, if Doc Rivers loses this series to the Atlanta Hawks, which are a very, very good basketball team, they're saying that maybe Doc Rivers is overrated. Doc Rivers not overrated. Doc Rivers is as good as they come, but he doesn't go on the court, Big C. And I just want to get your opinion. Is he taking too much heat? The series not over yet, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I can't say that he's taking too much heat, Charlton. I mean, it comes down to coaching decisions and who you have on the court. Yes, Danny Green has been out, and that's really hurt him. They don't have that extra shot from outside. But he's also keeping this liability called Ben Simmons on the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about trying to make a guy a max player, and he can't shoot free throws or jump shots. What asset is he? Anybody can dribble a ball and bring it up court. I mean, he hasn't stopped anybody defensively. You know, they said they put him on Trae Young.
Yeah.
You realize that Trae Young has set an NBA record for points over the first 10 games he played in an NBA playoff series. He scored 56 points thus far.
Wow.
356 since the playoffs have started over 10 games. So who in the hell is playing defense against him? So where's the asset called Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can't stand up for him. The Philadelphia 76ers, they are back in Atlanta, the city of Southern hospitality. But even I've witnessed some of that Southern hostility come up for you at times, Big C. And I'm sure they're going to be about 17,000 Southern hostility, however they call it, hospitality, or
I mean, you like to quote songs, Charlton, all the time. There's a song that they smile in your face, but all the time they want to take your place. Backstabbers, okay? The
OJs.
We're going to smile in your face, but we're going to stab you in the back and take your place also.
Yeah, those birds of prey, Big C, is all fair. Level. You know, birds of prey usually attack from the back. They don't attack you from the front.
Yeah, they put those talons in your back, Charlton, and walk away with you.
They walk away or fly away, Big Z. I want to fly away. Who sang that fly away? Was it Lenny Kravitz want to fly away? Those birds want to fly away tonight with the Philadelphia 76ers. So Game 6, Eastern Conference semifinals, Big C game. 7:30 East Coast time. Tip-off already underway, State Farm Arena. And when you think about it, the great Joel Embiid came out red hot, helping the Sixers take a 22-point halftime lead. Big C. Philly was -4 in the fourth quarter, scoring 25 points, and they allowed 29 points. Ironically, when you look at the fourth quarter, and the bucket started to drop for the Atlanta Hawks, Big C, with little resistance and no response, I think most athletes, I work around a lot of MMA fighters, Big C, they always see guys when they know they're about to get tapped out, they kind of put their head down as to see where they are. So when they fall, they don't want to get hurt. And I felt like Philadelphia players, they were a little bit dejected. I think their fans are horrible for booing them at home when they need them now more than ever, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is...
Bless you.
I mean, that's the Philadelphia 76ers. That's what you heard, saw, and felt, okay?
Yeah.
Called choke. Charlton, I mean, you can explain it any way you want. But, I mean, if you take your hand and put it around your throat as tight as you can,
Yeah.
I think you'd be choking.
Yeah.
That's called Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah. Somebody said that song, Philadelphia Freedom. Well, they may have a lot of freedom from the league if they don't get it done tonight. And I think about Atlanta outscored Philly by 21 points in the final session, won the game 109-106, despite a combined 73 points from the 76ers guard Seth Curry and the great Joel Embiid. Seth's been doing his thing, but I really like this new Vorish player. He's not a guy that looks like he worked out at Muscle Beach in Venice in Southern California. The great Ice Trae, Big C, Trae Young, 39 points on his own. was instrumental in leading the comeback. Now both teams are looking for their A games, and the number one seed is on the brink. Joel Embiid is, like you said, I think you said he's probably playing with some of that hurt no more that Shaquille O'Neal cells or whatever he's been giving away out of his back, Big C. But there's something about the maybe smallest guy on the court that might carry the biggest championship hopes for the city from Atlanta, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, what guard did you mention for Philadelphia?
Yeah, I know. You got
Steph Curry,
yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
Ben Simmons supposed to have that marquee, but that's Steph Curry, a guy coming off the bench.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at Trae Young, he's just playing basketball. He's having fun.
Yeah.
He's out in the playground. He knows that there's nobody on Philadelphia that can run with him, Charles.
Yeah.
He has that inside-outside game. Think about that. He's not scared to go to the basket. You haven't seen Ben Simmons go to the basket trying to get a foul. No, he's not. So that means he's operating in fear. Trae Young said, come get some of this.
Yeah.
Come get some, young man. And that's all they've been doing. The Atlanta Hawks have been serving up Southern hospitality. They don't want no cheesesteak. They're passing out fried chicken, Joe.
Yeah. It was deep fried also, and it came with a lot of that Louisiana Southern hot sauce from Atlanta. 2 times the number 2 MVP candidate has been dominant. And you think about, point guard Ben Simmons must improve. I'd imagine head coach Doc Rivers has something up his sleeve, but he had to get something to him. That's giving shooting guard Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton more time. The Sixers have been great on the road. They should come out on top the way basketball goes. Look at what's happening in the Brooklyn series with Milwaukee. Sometimes water will find its own level, Big C. And last I heard, a bird fights a little bit more desperately when it's trying not to be eaten alive, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, when that bird is soaring, and that's what the Atlanta Hawks have been doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think about this game from an athlete's perspective.
Yeah.
Who is all the pressure on? All the pressure's on the Philadelphia 76ers.
Really?
They've been down this road before and walked out of the arena with tears falling from their eyes.
Yeah.
And right now, their butts are real tight worrying about those Hawks.
Yeah, you got the Hawks bogged down the bottom of his Big C. He used to be in Northern California, and they said, well, we don't like him. So they let rid of him for the Sacramento Kings, and he's happy about that. The Hawks are going to need to come out on fire, be more aggressive against this Sixers team, because Big C, probably a trend that you respect as a football player. You don't want to keep coming down from a 25-point or 22-point deficit and try to claw your way out of that hole to get back to the top. If the Hawks can just try to play even with them in the first half, they don't have to come from 22 points down. At the same time, if Philly finds a way to play the same way in the second half that they played in the first half, we should have a Game 7, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, let's look at it from this perspective, Charlton. The Hawks are playing tonight with the MLK commemorative jerseys on.
Yeah.
They've never lost a home game with those on.
Yeah.
Expect for the Philadelphia 76ers to get their vacation plans ready after tonight.
I think there's a lot of bookies that say there's always a first time, Big C. The refs, when you think about this, in something that's so important, the great Ice Young attempted 19 free throws last outing. Big C, that was in Philadelphia. He knows something. He can stand out and shoot threes. He can try to shoot from 40 feet away, but he's smart. And I love that about young players. He's not intimidated by someone's size. He knows you get it closer to the rim, the ball's actually apt to go in. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, they know that Joel Embiid can't protect the rim. He has the bad wheel. He even got fouled shooting three-point shots, Dalton, but he's been aggressive with the basketball, and you haven't had any guards from Philadelphia doing the same.
Yeah. It's all fair and level war. We're never going to have a lot of good basketball. I just hope that everybody can just embrace what we have going on, because NBA action basketball has been fantastic, and I look forward to a lot of these good boys having a good time. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about how it never rains in Southern California. The great 2020 is all, or 2020, in the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. We'll be back. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. There's so many apps, and I really do appreciate the way things are going with Big C Sports. Going to do our second half to the tune from that good old boy that said, I'll be back, Big C. The great Arnold Schwarzenegger is all fair in love and war, the Predator. You know, through 5 games, when you think about the Clippers, and you think about the Jazz, there's so many people that thought this series would not go to where it is now, Big C. Game 6 in Los Angeles. The Utah Jazz started off the series taking a 2-0 lead with the great Donovan Mitchell looking like he was Superman, Big C. The Los Angeles Clippers, for the second consecutive series, Big C, they won back-to-back games to tie the series at 2 apiece. And then based on the results, they had the edge going forward. They went into Utah, and they grabbed that Game 5 without Kawhi Leonard. It was King Paul George that did his thing because his friend is on the rebound. He's on the mend right now. We don't know what's going to happen to Kawhi, but he's not playing tonight, Big C. But give me your feeling on what Utah has. They lost the momentum that they needed, just like Philadelphia, and now they got to go play next to the Pacific Ocean, where the Clippers are very, very tough to beat, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they lost Donovan Mitchell again, Charlton, in that game, and that's what really hurt them when you lost the only guy that could create offensively out of the backcourt, because Mike Conley has not played at all, and he still hasn't been activated to play in this game, Charlton. I mean, all advantages right now go to the Clippers, and they have to wrap it up tonight because they can't go to a Game 7. They have to finish off this series tonight, Charlton.
Yeah.
And if they don't, they won't win Game 7.
You know, the Jazz have lost 3 straight games and are on the brink of elimination, though, Big C. And can they keep their season alive? Or will the Clippers appear in their first appearance in the Western Conference Finals? And I think they will, Big C. The great Donovan Mitchell, as good as he is, as you mentioned in the last game, he kept shooting threes and he was off. Maybe because he has more pain than he's willing to let on with that ankle, Big C. The Jazz were carried by heroic efforts from Mitchell, who averaged 41 points per game in the first 2 games of this series. But right now, he has a hitch in his giddy-up. All the pressure is on the Utah Jazz because they're going to be up against a raucous crowd of cut-out cardboard, Big C.
Well, that's those paper bags that they made figurines out of, Charlton. I mean, but, you know, Utah is a team that right now is injured. I mean, like I said, that backcourt is down. Mitchell is out. He potentially will not play tonight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is all advantage for the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah.
They have to close out this series tonight. If they don't, they won't win Game 7 because they'll at least get Mitchell back and maybe Conley.
Yeah, they'll most likely close out this series tonight just the way the ball bounces, Big C. The Jazz went ice cold the second half, shooting 3 of 24. That's 12.5% from behind the arc. You know, Trae Young he should teach class as a small guy, David and Goliath, Big C. When a team is 3 of 24 from behind the arc, when is Quentin Snyder going to say, wait a minute, maybe at 3 from 7 we should start driving the paint, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they shot more threes than any team in the NBA this past season and made more threes.
Yeah.
They made 10 threes in the first quarter alone. That's their game plan, is to go out there and keep firing. They're not going to slow down on shooting threes. Yeah,
it's all fair in love and war. I think that's going to be the benefit of the L.A. Clippers. When the Clippers have the edge in depth and talent, and when you think about it, Big C, once upon a time in Indiana, the great King Paul George was going to be toe-to-toe with the great King LeBron James. There's still a king playing, but his name is George and not James. In the postseason, there was no question his talent and ability to perform. The good old boy out of Palmdale, California, Southern California, North Los Angeles County. And now they have all of his talent in Los Angeles. And I know he wants his Batman and Robin. He's always been Robin, but he gets to be Batman tonight, Big C. And he doesn't have Kawhi Leonard to come out and save him. And this is a moment where, just like Giannis, just like Durant, just like Embiid, just like Trae Young, Big C, you got to put the ball in your hand, and you got to decide if your team is going to win or if they're going to try to pass off to somebody else who may not even be potential Hall of Fame consideration eventually, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he's not going to be the individual who would carry the Clippers tonight, Charlton. You have to have a big game from Morris. You have to have a big game from Mann, Charlton, and a couple other Clippers. I mean, you know that Paul George will get an adequate amount of points. He should get 30.
Yeah.
But that won't be the decisive points in the game, Charlton. It comes from the X-Factor play.
Yeah, it's an X-Factor play. It's all fair in love and war. I wish everybody nothing but the best. Please stay hydrated, and may you get hydrated by the Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% in this game, and it tastes great with a Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. And you know who's on their game when you think about June 19th, Big C, or Juneteenth, as they call it for tomorrow? WNBA basketball universe. The women are doing their thing. It's a short schedule. You have Phoenix at Los Angeles, and hopefully they'll have a good outing. But they're going up in the backdrop of all of these great NBA basketball playoffs with Milwaukee and Brooklyn, Big C, Atlanta, and Philadelphia. Now the Clippers and also the Jazz, but the WNBA is also doing their thing. Big C, I want to touch on something because I think it's so, we talk about so many things back and forth. It's a hot day in Northern California, but I really feel that it's about time that people start saying thank you for all of the help that our athletes do, along with saluting our veterans, and they pay homage to it. They even make donations to it. The great Joel Embiid and Seth Curry were the only players to make a shot in the second half for the 76ers in Game 5. Big C, that's not good. I know Ben Simmons has to get his giddy-up going. The 76ers became the first team to have only 2 players make a shot in a single half of a playoff game since the Portland Trail Blazers. It was second half against the Utah Jazz on May 25th of 1999 that Prince talked about. Big C, your thoughts? Bless you.
I mean, when you're choking, Jonathan, it's hard to get the ball out of your hand.
It's the hot sauce, Big C. It's all that hot sauce. But that's rare. That's one of those prop betting stats that maybe somebody went to the bank on. It's all fair in love and war. Also, out of the West Coast, after falling behind 0-2 to the Utah Jazz, the LA Clippers are aiming to become the 13th team in NBA playoff history to win a best-of-7 series in 6 games after losing the first 2, Big C. The last team to have such a comeback in 2019 conference finals. I'm going to see if you know the answer to that question, Big C. Your thoughts?
Let's see. What would it have been? The Toronto Raptors, Charlton, against the Philadelphia 76ers?
It was close enough. Toronto versus the Milwaukee Bucks, who are also in Gotham City coming up on Juneteenth, and that's going to be on Saturday. It's amazing. So many great games are happening in the world of sports, and I really appreciate seeing this great game that we call basketball. Since you talked about Canada, how we love Canada, I want to go to the NHL. The NHL chase for the Lord Stanley's Big Cup, Big C, is now Lord Stanley's Big Cup, no longer than Lord Stanley's Cup. In fact, we're going to call it Lord Stanley's Big C Cup. No offense to any women out there. I don't understand the cup thing, but it's all fair when you have a libation in that cup, Big C. The Montreal Canadiens interim head coach Dominic Ducremy, Big C, has tested positive for COVID-19 and is isolated at home as his team prepares to face the Las Vegas Golden Knights in Game 3. Assistant coach Luke Richardson will run the bench, Big C. They've tried so hard in Canada to keep the COVID at bay, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they've done a marvelous job in Canada to keep the COVID at bay, Charlton. You got to realize this was Montreal's first trip to the United States, and this is the reason why the borders have been closed all year long. And Las Vegas found that, it wasn't that safe to keep coaches away from COVID. I don't know whether he was at a crap table or some other type of dancing table, Charlton, to get COVID-19.
Yeah. Double entendre when you're at a crap table in Las Vegas, Big C. Some guys don't make it to the bathroom when they get too many libations, if that makes sense to you. NHL playoff universe in search of Lord Stanley's Big Cup. In fact, Lord Stanley's Big C Cup. After keeping up the scoring torch to help Tampa Bay, the Lightning, Big C, get his big road victory in his Stanley Big Cup semifinal series. Braden Point was especially proud of the Lightning's defensive efforts. Point got the tie-breaking goal late in the second period. It was Adri Vesicali, Big C, who stepped out 27 points. He stopped 27 shots, actually. And the Lightning beat the New York Islanders 2-1 on Thursday night to take a 2-1 series lead. There's a lot of good hockey being played by them good boys. Now, Tampa's known for relaxation and heat, but when they get those good boys on ice, Big C, they're pretty tough to deal with, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, that old theory, Charlton, lightning does not strike twice. That's what they're trying to do this year, Charlton.
Yeah.
Is becoming back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah, they're trying to become back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. It's all fair in love and war. We wish everybody nothing but the best. I want to take a little bit of time to focus on some NFL, because you oftentimes say, and I know you don't really mean it, you say that hockey players are tougher than NFL players, but I doubt if any hockey player can get blitzed over the middle and get up and do the same thing again. But maybe they could. They do it on ice. It's all fair and love and war. I know a lot of NFL players could not run on ice. But NFL football, Big C, the NFL football universe, 6 losing teams in 2020, Big C, that would make the playoffs in 2021. Stars returning from injuries, new coaches, and smart draft picks have a dozen teams ready to turn things around in 2021. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, the NFL is always a transient league. I mean, when you see it turn around, it's like the spin cycle. on a wash machine. You never know what's going to come out on the other side.
Yeah. Sometime if you're down in Vegas, you know what's going to come out on the other side. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's not true.
Not the COVID-19, Charles, is going back to Montreal.
Yeah. Sometimes that spin cycle says, something did not stay in Vegas. That makes sense to you, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, like I said, the coach is going back to Montreal with COVID-19, and let's hope that's all he had.
Let's hope that's all he had. He can make a commercial. What happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. It's all fair and level word, Big C. Acquiring the greatest, when you think about it, the greatest player in NFL history has benefits. When you think about it, as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers found out in 2020, they went from being 7-19 with a good coaching staff and a solid defensive core to 11-5 playoff darlings and eventual Super Bowl champion. It's impossible to discount teams with a losing record from one year to the next, although we often fall into that trap. And oftentimes we do it all over the country in different sports. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, especially with the NFL, Charlton, it's strength of schedule based on your previous season record. And so you'll have an advantage going into the next season because you won't be playing a lot of playoff teams.
Yeah, they won't be playing a lot of playoff teams as they're doing their Terminator in the background. The Terminator music is all fair and level when that eye is bouncing around. But think about it, back to the NFL. That's why we're here, to take a look at the bottom rung of the NFL in 2020 and decade whether any teams are good enough, Big C, to climb off the scrap heap. I know you eat, drink, and slim in moonshine, and also NFL football dreams is all fair and level word, Big C. But I want to start number 6-1. The New York Giants, when you think about why they find a good way to get some good players and get them that maybe would have turned their season around with another team, but they're actually going to help out with the New York Giants, Big C. Your thoughts?
This is a team that went out and revamped their receiving corps, Charlton. They gave Daniel Jones an all-star receiving cast. Saquon Barkley should be back. They made some solid moves on the offensive line. You're in a very paltry division, the NFC East, Charlton.
Yep.
If you win 8 games, you could win that division.
Isn't that something? That shows you how beat down the NFC East is. Another great team that's had its greatest, I won't say greatest, but their last great season when they won the Super Bowl. They brought in the great Peyton Manning. Omaha, Big C. And he had a broken neck. They put a cast on his foot, and it's all fair from there. The Denver Broncos are trying to do the same thing again, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about the upgrades on offense, especially at the receiving corps, Charlton, if Drew Lock can mature in any kind of fashion, Charlton, the Denver Broncos have the potential of being the second-best team in the AFC West.
Yeah, they really do. I'm telling you, not so fast, my friend. Them Chargers from Los Angeles, Justin Herbert, their defense is legit. They have a great running game. Passing game should be tough. They got a better cooker. We'll see what happens. But I just think Herbert's going to put that team, the Chargers, right there on the heel of the Kansas City Chiefs. They almost beat them twice last year, Big C. They, in fact, beat them one time. But also, Jerry Jones, I know whenever you go down to Dallas, I think J.R. Ewing used to invite you down to that ranch that they had down there called, I forgot the name of the ranch, Big C, but I know J.R. Ewing was down there on it, Big C. Jerry Jones took over that ranch. The Dallas Cowboys, they are able to make maybe a meteoric rise this year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, I mean, when you think about you have a quarterback that's going to be making $1 billion a quarter this year when he plays.
Wow.
$1 million a quarter.
I'll take it.
So that's not bad cheese that he's going to be getting.
Yeah.
And so if he can, put that same thing on the field, and if Dak Prescott can play up to what he was doing the first 3 games of the season prior to being hurt, Charlton, the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East.
I'm telling you, they look good, and he's probably going to have a better season. He was throwing for like 400 yards a game before he got injured, Big C. Now they have probably a better defense to help him not have to do that all the time. And that was South Fork Ranch down to the great J.R. Ewing, Big C. The Los Angeles Chargers, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, and we'll see if they can get rid of that wide right, wide left kicker, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, we'll let Southmore Jakes jump on Justin Herbert, Charlton. That's the big question. But not only that, what will their defense do? Their defense was, just torn apart last year with injuries. Will they be able to get those players back and get them healthy? And will they be productive as they were 2 years ago? Yeah,
they should. They'll have some crowd noise behind them this year, and Herbert's going to do a fabulous job, I think. Big C, the team that I have the most interest in when it comes to the East Coast, the AFC East, is the New England Patriots. The great Cam Newton, former MVP, Cam Newton, Big C, we know he had that shoulder injury. I think he's thrown for over 4,000 yards every year, except for maybe 3 years that he's been playing in the league, Big C. He's a run-pass option. They had, I think, about 8 holdouts last year that are going to be back in the saddle this year with Jedi Knight Bill Belichick. Whether he's going to be pushed for quarterback or not, the quarterback that came out of Alabama, Mac Jones, if Mac can't run, Cam can. If Cam can focus on accuracy with his passing, that gives, in my opinion, the Patriots a better chance to win than having some guy that can't run out of the pocket and Mac Jones come in and try to win that job. Big C, your thoughts?
In the NFL, is it about quarterback accuracy or is it about quarterback running? I mean, you think about Lamar Jackson, greatest running quarterback we've ever seen.
Yeah.
His accuracy is what has let him down. If you can get the ball to the open receivers, you're going to gain more yards by hitting an open receiver downfield than putting your quarterback in jeopardy by running the ball.
What are you leaning on that? On Jones or former MVP Cam Newton? What are you anticipating just based on your feelings and what you've seen, Big C, your thoughts?
From what I've seen Mac Jones has been the better quarterback in training camp, Charlton. You can't live on what Cam Newton did 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Thinking about, 5 years ago he was NFL MVP. Yeah, he was, but he's not now, and he will never be again. I'm not talking about him being less of an individual, but his talents have diminished. And when you got Mac Jones, this high-flying rookie who has shown what he can do with a wealth of talent around him, New England upgraded their receiving corps.
Yeah.
Cam Newton, regardless of COVID and all that, every other player in the NFL had to dodge that also.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared to play, and you can't use the excuse when you got a wide-open receiver of throwing the ball into the ground.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think he will play better, at least based on what I've seen him do over a decade of playing football. Even down at the University of Auburn, they had questions about him, and he helped them win a championship. It's all fair and love and war. And then number one out here on the West Coast, Northern California's only team, the fistful of gold, the San Francisco 49ers, Big C. This is a good old team going back to the days of John Brodie, the great Joe Montana, Colin Kaepernick, and now Jimmy Garoppolo. And they got a guy by the name of Lance that's he's gonna sit the bench for a while and learn some things. Their defense is legit. They've always had a solid running game. They have a coach that people like, and they have one of the better crowds in all of NFL football. Big C, your thoughts?
Yeah, but there's also in the toughest division in the NFL, Charlton, when you think about the NFC West. You got the Los Angeles Rams that could be improved. You got the Arizona Cardinals, which should improve. You got the Seattle Seahawks, who won the division. And now you got the San Francisco 49ers hoping to come back healthy to what they were Super Bowl team 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
But they've already lost 2 of their offensive linemen.
I know.
And how healthy can this team stay?
Yeah, OTAs have been really tough on that 49er team this year. Sometimes you wonder, why do we have OTAs when guys are getting banged up before even we have a kickoff, Big C? And now they got to deal with that, but that's part of love and war, and that's part of the NFL football. I wish everybody nothing but the best, and I'm sure those teams, when somebody goes down, that they always say, Big C, is just next man up, and we'll see what happens with next man up. I want to touch on something also NFL related. The NFL, they really need to use Juneteenth. It's just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, Big C, but they should use Juneteenth to examine its race norming past. You think about it, just an opinion. What most of the public does not know is that the NFL, it patted itself on the back for recognizing Juneteenth. I mean, that's important, Big C. But it also is using one of the most racist practices in its history, and that's race norming, Big C. A lot of conservatives, they know what that means. They know what we're talking about. The league has to examine what does black players really mean to the NFL, especially since they make up about 70% of the sport, and use this day to ask why it talks so much about its respect for African-American players and black people, while sometimes their actions may show otherwise. Big C, your thoughts?
Oh, they have shown otherwise, Charlton. You talk about the race norming, especially in this CTE protocol, Charlton, when it came to financial compensation for former players who've been suffering mentally, Charlton, from this CTE.
Yeah.
And going in and saying that their cognitive skills were far less than the white counterparts, Charlton,
Yeah.
and so they were already less mental ability to start out with.
Yeah, that bell curve garbage. And when you think about it also, we just finished talking about the 49ers. Why was Colin Kaepernick effectively banned by majority white men outside of Buffalo? You got to say that. In Shad Khan, Big C, and in Jacksonville, everybody else in the Green Bay is owned by the community, Big C, but he was banned. And mainstream media, they were behind the sabotage of a man of character, all because he said stop killing black people. And he took a knee to bring attention to it, and they made it anti-military. And as if there's no black people in the military. And the NFL stood behind that, Big C. That's just my opinion. People think, oh, that's too harsh. It's not harsh. So why is the league still so often hiring black coaches, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, Derek Chauvin took a knee on George Floyd's neck for over 9 minutes to kill him.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick didn't kill anybody by taking a knee.
No.
But white America stood by Derek Chauvin for killing George Floyd, and we all witnessed that as a world, witnessed that, in real time. But when you say, and Colin Kaepernick was talking about stop doing that to black people,
yeah.
Yet white people cheered for Derek Chauvin when he went out and did it.
I won't say they cheered, but I will say there was conservative people that said, well, what do you expect him to do? He was afraid. They wouldn't do that to white kids, Big C. But legalizing, when you think about it, it's just a couple of questions. The league utilizing race norming as a money-saving weapon against its own players still requires good answers from Goodell and the owners. And would be excellent, Goodell said, this happened on my watch and it won't happen again. But neither of those things will happen. Instead, the NFL will talk about how important Juneteenth is to the league and failing to see the race norming and the irony behind it and the fact that they all stood quiet as you had about 30 of 32 league owners that also tried to participate in disenfranchising a man of color for saying quit hurting the people who look like 70% of your league. Big C, your thoughts?
No, you had 32 league owners, Charlton, because not one NFL team brought Colin Kaepernick in. So you had 32 owners, not 30 of 32, 32.
Yeah.
All of them were racist in that aspect of not bringing Colin Kaepernick in. They stood united against black authority in the league, Charlton, and representing black people. Yes, you can celebrate a holiday, but hell, that doesn't mean you're giving somebody a job. You want to talk about race norming, Charlton? We just went through it a couple of months ago in the NFL.
Yeah.
What they have in Cleveland is this thing called the NFL draft.
Yep.
How many black players from HBCUs got drafted, Charlton? Race norming, okay?
Yeah, very well said. They'll invite them to camp to try out, but they got to get in for minimum wage. It's all fair. And that's by design. And if you're crooked, the dirt will come out in the wash. But you can atone. We're just asking the good people, a few good people, and maybe they'll have the rest follow the good people. It's all fair and level war. I want to talk about something that people love. It's going to be a great Father's Day weekend for a lot of people that just, whether your fathers are here or not, Big C, everybody can just appreciate the times that they had some encouraging words from a father on Father's Day, and I wish every father in the universe a very happy Father's Day from Big C Sports. Major League Baseball, the pitch, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. It's all fair in Leaven War. Girls love the long ball, and men love hit the deep. It's all fair in Leaven War. The Los Angeles Angels two-way starter, Shohei Ohtani, I want to say the great Shohei Ohtani, Big C. He will compete in Major League Baseball's upcoming the Home Run Derby, Big C, on July 12th at Coors Field in beautiful Denver, Colorado, and that was announced today. Now, Ohtani, Big C, he's going to be the first Japanese-born player to compete in the Derby and also the first pitcher to take part in the competition, Big C. Your thoughts?
I mean, he's not the first Japanese player to play in the All-Star game, Charlton, but he is the first to play in the Derby. And you think about it, not only that, he's going to pitch in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
This is how marvelous of an athlete this individual is, Charlton, that he is one of the more dominant young pitchers in Major League Baseball, and he's also right there chasing the home run lead with 19.
Yeah, he's amazing. Just a multi-sport star athlete, basically. The pitcher-designated hitter is currently third in the majors in homers with 19 hit deep. Big C's hit the deep 19 times. And 10th in RBIs at 47. That's enough in itself to say he's welcome to the All-Star game, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he's there, Charlton.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is a guy that wants to take on all challenge.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any quitting system. This reminds me of my youth, Charlton, when athletes played multiple sports instead of being pigeonholed just into one, saying you got to concentrate on just that.
Yeah.
You concentrate on all your athletic skills, Charlton, and let the best ones come out.
Yeah, let the best ones come out. In the words of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's our theme song for tonight's Predator. I'll be back. He said, I'll be back after doing his thing at the plate. At the plate, Big C, on the opposite side, the 26-year-old, the great Shohei Ohtani, Big C, he's hitting .270, and he has tallied 10 steals as well. not Ricky Henderson numbers, Big C, but you got a guy that 19 home runs, 47 RBIs. He's batting .270, and he has 10 steals as well. He's just an all-around dominant athlete, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I don't know if that may already be the major league record for steals for a pitcher in the season, 10, Charlton, and we haven't even hit the halfway mark.
Haven't hit the halfway mark. It's all fair and level. We're also the Major League Baseball universe. You know, sometimes I know you're probably going to have an answer yes, but I don't want to put words in your mouth any more than food in your mouth, Big C. Have you ever eaten rattlesnake, Big C? Your thoughts?
You know, Charlton, I've tried plenty of exotic food, and I have those in the steak market, Charlton.
Yeah. Well, the Big C burger is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. It's all fair and level word, Big C. The great Arizona Diamondbacks, they reach a new low. Historically, futility is never an accident. The Diamondbacks, they know this very well. At 20 wins, 50 losses, they are the worst team in baseball. It's like when a Diamondback snake gets old, sometimes it becomes preyed on, Big C. Think about it. On their way to that distinction, they've broken particularly pushing records of 23 consecutive road losses. That's almost impossible to do if you're trying, claiming the record with a 10-3 defeat Thursday night. Actually, it was Thursday afternoon at the first place San Francisco Giants. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, to lose 23 in a row on the road seemed like you didn't even show up.
Yeah.
But this is a team that's still putting forth effort, and they just, you know, when you talk about being snake bitten, no pun intended, the Diamondbacks
yeah,
have that distinction.
Yeah, for anybody who's been snake bitten, we're not making fun of you, but Richard Pryor had us scared about that snake. And they said, well, which way you going to run? But make sure you're out there when you say snake. Just run. Run someplace. Don't sit there and try to see what kind of snake it is, as some good old boys used to do on Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom. It's all fair and level war. I know there's a lot of good baseball being played outside in the baseball universe. And I know that everybody for this Father's Day weekend, oftentimes that's what a lot of good old boys, they want to see. They want to go out and watch a ball game, Big C. And sometimes you're going to see a lot of good action. We have the Cleveland. They're at the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Mets are going to be at the Nationals. You have the Blue Jays are going to be at the Orioles just for a few. This should be some pretty decent games, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, it'd be nice, you know, fathers and sons spending the day at the ballpark, Charlton. Those are great outings to have. I mean, memorable moments.
Memorable moments indeed, Big C. The White Sox at the Astros, the Red Sox at the Royals. We're going to have the Brewers at the Colorado Rockies. I guess they're going to get that field ready for the, I guess they call it the home run derby. That's just about a month away. But should be some baseballs hit out of the yard in Coors Field, Big C. Your thoughts for the Father's Day weekend?
You know, a great facility to hit long balls in, Charlton. The air is staying up there at mile high. And when you think about once you get it riding, Charlton, it will flow. Once you get it riding, it will flow. And when it flows far. It's all fair and level war. I know there's a lot more Major League Baseball games that are out there. You can Google the schedule. But I wanted to close out today's show before we're finished on the air today, Big C. I just think that when I look at Major League Baseball and I look at all the great players that have made this game as great as it is, I know a lot of people, the Twins playing at the Rangers, Marlins at the Cubs. You know, we talked about that, the Brewers at the Rockies. But it's something about this pastime to have Father's Day weekend with fans in the stands. It's going to be a lot different and kind of like the throwback to the days of old, Big C. Your thoughts? Well, you know, Father's Day weekend, Charlton, also being celebrated along with Juneteenth holiday. What a memorable moment, Charlton, to have Father's Day weekend collaborating with the second black holiday in American history.
Isn't that something? I know we all talk about celebrating Jackie Robinson Day, and when people would do that celebrating of Jackie Robinson Day, they all wore the number 42, and now we have Juneteenth. And I just wonder, but it may not happen, if baseball will have everybody wear the number 19, but maybe that's asking too much too soon, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it's asking too much too soon, Charlton. I mean, everybody's been aware of what has happened throughout black history in America. They just don't want to recognize it.
Yeah, that's all fair and level war. That's why we will, Big C. We have the Boston Red Sox also at the Kansas City Royals at Kauffman Stadium. There's going to be a lot of good things happening this weekend, and I wish everybody nothing but the best. Please stay hydrated. It's going to be hot all over this country. Temperatures in triple digits, maybe to cool down by next week, but I know a lot of right now is riding on people just trying to stay healthy. Last thing I want to just touch on, we always honor the great Muhammad Ali at the end of our shows and mentioning the great Drew Boudini Brown. Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award has impressive candidates, Big C. You have Laurent Tardif and obviously Anthony Rizzo. You have Clarendon Titus Big C, O'Neal Muhammad. They have the Ali Award. It's for people who do a lot more than just play as a great athlete. It's about people who have character and humanitarianship, where they go out, whether they're helping out in the community or they're trying to help fund some type of great cause. It's great to have an award that honors the great late Muhammad Ali. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's a very special honor to be mentioned in the same light as a Muhammad Ali. And in this award, my vote would go to Laurent Tardif, Charlton. When you think about a guy who said the NFL was not important after winning a Super Bowl championship as a starting offensive guard with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he said that the humanitarian outreach that I can do in my home city of Montreal is where I'm going to spend the football season, Charlton, helping in COVID-19 relief for those patients who really need it. I think you can't do more humanitarian than what he did, that money wasn't important, that life was.
Yeah, life was. Cubs first baseman Anthony Rizzo, Chiefs offensive lineman Laurent Tardif, Lynx guard Laisha Clarendon, Big C, WWE Hall of Famer Titus O'Neal were announced as finalists for the Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award for the positive impact they have made in their communities. The winner is going to be awarded and named on the ESPYs July 10th at 8 p.m. on ABC. It's all 4 and 11. We're wishing everybody nothing but the best. Whether it's going to be more basketball for a couple of teams or will it come to an end? We've come to the end of the road. The good old boys sang that back in the day, Big C. But I don't know if anybody's coming to the end of the road for this beautiful basketball Friday. Everybody stay hydrated, rise and shine, and no matter what you're doing, we should not be at odds with anybody. Big C, happy Father's Day. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble, with all you've got to use. How can you lose, Big C? What are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, if only we could go back in time and speak and see our ancestors, Charlton. Tomorrow is Juneteenth, 156 years since the ending of slavery in the United States. And you think about those black people who were enslaved and how their generations after them have come forth and laid fruit in America. And all of America is paying attention to them on television as they perform. Some of the greatest athletes in the world, Charlton, came out of slavery. Once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. They help everybody, even those who were enslaved.
Even those who were enslaved but never enslaved by the universe. You can enjoy your beautiful Juneteenth. You can enjoy it every day because we should not be at odds. You cannot be at odds every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, as my mama always says, is never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.